All right, level 7, lesson number 4. This is like definitely a technical lesson for your kiddo. A little bit of review, quite a bit of review, but putting a lot of things together, which makes it pretty difficult. Okay, so we're going to start with just a little bit of review. We have the word bear on the screen. The title of this lesson, by the way, is Prefixes and Suffixes working with Vowel-R. So in the big picture, this is review, but you know, it's still new stuff, okay? So first of all, we start by reminding your student that silent E is going to always be stronger than Vowel-R. That's why this word says bear and not bar, okay? Now, they already know that if we're going to change the word bearing, change bear to bearing, they have to drop their E and add an ing. This says bearing right now. But let's say we started with the word bar. Now we want to change it to barring, okay? Your student knows that this is going to be a doubling rule. This word, the last three parts of it are consonant, vowel, consonant, CVC. CVC doubles for me, okay? So we have the word bar, and I have to add a second R and put an ing in here. So bar to barring is how that goes. So let's try another one. We've got stare, silent E to staring. That's a drop. But now we want it to be starring. Again, this ends in CVC. I do not care about that S. I care about the three letters it ends with right here. Okay, CVC doubles for me. Now it changes to starring. Now listen, your student is really smart. Dyslexia or reading struggles really have nothing to do with intelligence. So they're going to flip it back and forth really quickly, right? That's not reading, that's being a good guesser. We don't want them being a good guesser, we want them being in control of these words. So if they're confused between starring and staring, we want to fix that. And we want to fix that right here, right now. So that's why they have to know what their base word is. So if I put this word up, I would want them to be able to work backwards and say, I'm going to drop my ing, and I know that there has to be an E on here. So the base word for that was scare. Okay, the word was scaring, not scarring. I want them to know for sure. Okay, so that's really what we're working on. We also introduced two new suffixes, uns and ens. When they're said very quickly, they're very difficult to hear the difference between the two. So we worked on a lot of things with that. So to make it say difference, if they can't hear if it's an uns or an ens, they should be asking Siri, asking a phone. If they have a spell checker, they should be punching it in. If your student does have a spell checker, they should punch in differ question mark NCE. Okay, so then they're going to know for sure if it's difference or difference. Okay, and we know that it's going to be difference. Okay, all right, so I want to go back to differ for a second too. Okay, the other part of this that is tricky is that we are going to be listening for the complete, what we call the complete doubling rule. So I just told you that the complete doubling rule, when you double a letter at the end, is that it ends in CVC, which you can see differ does end in CVC. It ends with this consonant, vowel, consonant pattern. But the complete doubling rule says that it ends in CVC and the second syllable is accented. Now that is very uncommon in English words. Most of the time, the accent is in the first syllable. So what I teach our students to do is call it for dinner. Differ, come for dinner, differ. You can really clearly hear the accent is in the first syllable, not the second syllable. I always think second syllable, two gets two. So two you would double, okay? But in differ, The first syllable is accented, so you can just pull down your suffix. You do not need to double. But here's a word where you do. Recur. 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 Second syllable is accented. Okay, second syllable is accented and it ends in CVC. Well, yes, we do have to double. And then we're going to add our suffix. Recurrence. Recurrence. Okay? Part of it. Now, we're going to work on these two. These two are called shun and zhun. Okay? We have talked about these in level 5, level 6, and now we're going to break it down farther into level 7. I always think of it like learning fractions in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. We are at the 5th grade level, but it's actually easier. So this one right here only says shun. Okay. And this one, if you hear zhun, you're going to spell it with the Z, the SION. Okay. So that's kind of the spelling rule. If you hear shun after these vowel R words that we're working on, TION, if you hear zhun, SION. Let's look at some words. Okay. We have the word incursion. Incursion. You can hear the zh right here. It vibrates in my throat. You can also cover your ears, zh, and it will vibrate in your brain a little bit. Okay, incursion. I know that I have to spell it with an SION because I heard that zhun. Version. Oh, there's that vibrating sound again. I'm going to come all the way down here and I'm going to pull down the SION for that one. Version. Insertion. Oh, that's quiet. My voice box does not vibrate. Insertion. That's going to be a TION. Insertion. Portion. TION. Portion. Immersion. Vibrating. SION. Okay, so that is the first part that your student learned. Second part is working more on more prefixes. The words are getting pretty long now, okay? So we have a word like cancer. We review all of our prefixes. Your students should have a page dedicated to prefixes that they've written down. In this case, we're using the word we're going to turn this into the word precancerous, okay? Precancerous. We talk a lot about looking for base words right here, building around them, so that when they come across a long word, they can recognize that it's built of little pieces. All right, let's look at the word forget. And remember, we have to look at two things. We need to see that it ends in CVC right now. We're going to add able to it, actually. So we can see that it ends in CVC, but now we have to check for the accent in the word. Forget. 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 Second syllable is accented. Indeed, 2 gets 2, you need to double. Forgettable. Now, your student also knows that there is no rules for adding prefixes on. The prefixes change the word a lot, but they do not have any rules that go with them. So we can change the word from forgettable, able to forget, to unforgettable, unable to forget. Changes the meaning of the word completely, but it's nice when you add a prefix because there are no rules. Okay, so let's skip ahead a little bit. And we worked on a lot of these things. We worked on, here's a tricky word because the word is manage. Okay, I'm going to change it to manageable. And one of the things that we know in here is that this ends with a GE. Okay, and that is a little bit of an exception because the only job that E is doing right there is making that G say J. Manage. Okay, if we took this E off, this word would say managable or managable. And that's not the word that we want. So in this one case, there's a couple cases, they do have to keep it. Now, if they need a reference sheet for that, well, then I've got that covered too. We give these out to the students, which, hold please, I thought this was up, but it's not. We're gonna go to our decision trees. So this is in the Barton Companion Notebook on or around about page 85. So does the base word end with silent E? You can just kind of walk through that decision tree. Student can have that out. There are several versions. There's also a version that is attached to the lesson summary and resource page. So they have all of that. They have all the prefix meanings from before, so they should have everything they need to complete their practice work. So let's move on and look at the practice work. Okay, so we are going to start. I had to redo this video because I didn't switch my screen. All right, let's switch our screen. So we're going to start with extra practice work for number 3. Read each word. If it uses the drop, double, or change rule, circle it. So I'll just walk through these. Obviously, this is done for you. We have conferring. The base word was confer. This is a double rule. It's circled. We have the word organized. The base word was organize. We dropped an E. We added suffix ed. We did not just add a D. Suffix ed has more meaning. It means in the past. Exercise had an E. Exercising. That's a drop rule. Mature had an E. Maturity. That's a drop rule. Ornamental. Base word ornament. Nothing. Slobbered. This is a doubling rule right here. We have the base word slob. We had to double. Spurred. Base word spur. We had to double. Blundered. Base word blunder. I don't think blund is a base word. I could be wrong. That's nothing. Uncertified. Base word was certified. This is a change rule. We changed our Y to an I. Enforcement. Nothing. Your base word is enforce. Purged. Again, base word purge. That's a drop rule because of the ed. Scarring. This is a doubling rule right here. Thundering. That base word is thunder. That's nothing. And sparkling had an E, so that is a drop rule. All right, so after this would be the parent, says each word, add TION or SION. 5 words use SION in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think I have that right. You know, every now and then when I'm doing this fast, I gotta go back and double check my own work. Okay, so excursion, there's your first zhun. Distortion. Reservation, proportion, conversion, transformation, overexertion, assertion, submersion, insertion, diversion, consideration, immersion, generation. And then this is just the regular old, you know, make sentences out of that. Okay, that's it. Don't guess, read, decode. Let's go back. Let's go to the fluency drills here. Fluency drills. If your student is struggling with these, I would have them start to box off your prefixes and suffixes if these get to be tricky. Okay, shorten, forgotten, base word forgot. Let's do a long word like remarkable down here. Here's your base is re, and you've got your suffix able, sorry, your prefix re and able. We've got discharge. So longer words, if they're having trouble with it, you know, immediately they should be boxing these off or dividing them up. We can work on the word horribly, horribly. That is the strategy for everything. Same thing here. Longer words, box off the prefixes, box off the suffixes. You know, sometimes when students are really struggling with it and they're really having a hard time focusing on the whole word, I would have them go through and just do one thing at a time. All right, box off all the prefixes. Okay. Just box off the prefixes in the column. Okay, now go and box off just the suffixes, and I'm just looking at this one column here. So box off your suffixes, okay? That will definitely help them see these as smaller words. Now, if you get, oh geez, it just crashed on me. Okay, that's it. I was gonna look at the word caring. Let's go back here and I'll just put it on the screen really quick. So what I wanted to show you was like the word caring. And when I was saying box off the suffixes, it'll be easier to show like this, okay? If they had boxed it off and they said this word as carring, first of all, it doesn't make sense, right? Like that's part of it, is it doesn't make sense to say carring. But the other thing is that this acts like a magnet. A vowel attracts the opposite, attracts a consonant, and it pulls this over. And so the word divides right here, caring. Okay, big lesson today. Mostly review for your student, but putting a lot of elements together. We appreciate the support that you give by doing the extra practice work. They need to do the extra practice work 10 minutes a day, every day, no matter what. Make sure they are reading and decoding and not guessing. All right, that's it. Have a day. We'll see you later.